Speaking of other injuries, Tyler, man, one of your guys too, one of your favorites, Rashee Rice, man, and unfortunate injury, bro. Dealing with a torn ACL. Patrick Mahomes, friendly fire there. You hate to see it. He was having a really strong start to the season too. Probably going to push for a top 5 to 10 receiver spot on the year. But now what do we do, right? Like there's no shot he's returning this year, which is what it looks like. Obviously there's supernatural cases, but it doesn't look like Rashee Rice is returning at all this year.
Was it actually confirmed? I know it was feared.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was actually 100% confirmed or not. But
I think for us in fantasy, it's a wrap. Like I'm not holding him out for week 17 or 18 return at 50%. Capacity.
Well, yeah, no, I'm saying like the fear was that he tore his ACL and then they're getting an MRI. I'm sure it's done.
I think it was a torn. I think it was like established that it was a torn ACL. Okay. It's just like how long in the recovery, and we know it's about a year.
Yeah, like he's definitely out for this year, 100%.
Which it sucks, man. It sucks, and obviously for Travis Kelce owners, there's you don't want to kind of like be able to win in somebody else's L, but I think you have a player now that's probably going to get a little bit more volume. But for these other receivers, I think that's really where like the biggest question. It sucks, but it's like look, we had a guy in our chat, my boy. I don't want to put him on blast.
Yeah.
But like what I'm saying, you have when you find victory in somebody else's L, it's not always fun. But for Kelce owners, you have to be yourself, okay, I have a little bit more value. And then as far as receivers go, Tyler, there's a lot out there. Like it could be a plethora of options, but I think we're probably both looking at Xavier Worthy as like the most likely candidate to get some increased role.
Yeah. No, and it's really unfortunate because I had my third highest player in best ball and it was like 30-some%. It was Rashee Rice. So there goes a lot of my best ball lineups. Rip. But yeah, I mean, I was very high and I have him in so many dynasty leagues too. And it's really unfortunate. But it is what it is. Like that's fantasy football. It's the name of the game. It's football in general. It's a collision sport. Like this kind of stuff happens. And you know, what's funny is that I was thinking about this and I guarantee there is teams out there, right? And this is why, like, and I've said this before, like you don't victory lap, like you don't sit there admiring your team because I guarantee there is people after week 1 that had Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, and Rashee Rice. And they're probably sitting there like, oh my God, my team I'm going to win the ship. And now week 5, you're down Rashee Rice, Cooper Kupp hasn't played, and Tyreek Hill doesn't have a quarterback. Like you're probably down bad. So like, and that's why it's like, and I keep stressing this because I know people want to, sit here and it's week 4 and there's a, good amount of data and we can sit here and look at it. These guys are performing, but it's a long season. And it can drastically change in the blink of an eye, as we saw with this. So what I think is going to happen going forward, like Travis Kelce definitely gets a boost. And if you traded away Travis Kelce because he wasn't doing anything, that's really unfortunate. I think Xavier Worthy obviously gets a little bit of a boost. I don't know. Like there's been some talks that this team, like I've even seen like ESPN people say this too, like this team could be in trade for like in the market for a wide receiver. But like they also had Hollywood Brown, who's not supposed to come back until I think like the best case scenario is the playoffs. I don't know if they actually try to make a move. I think that potentially, I don't even want to say like Juju. I don't think there's really anybody. I think it's just basically Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce, and maybe one of these running backs potentially can kind of step up and be like the third guy in this offense that they kind of lean on. But it's basically Travis Kelce. I think it's the biggest boost here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough because we always see the Chiefs like go get other receivers. Like they went and got Juju Smith-Schuster, and that was after, after the Hollywood Brown injury. So obviously they don't believe in Sky Moore. They got rid of Kadarius Toney already, and you're now dealing with 2 injured receivers. Justin Watson's been a guy on this roster, and like I just don't really think that there's a lot of additional value when it comes to him because he's had opportunity to like elevate his role. He just hasn't performed in any capacity that's fantasy relevant. There's only one name I could think of outside of like a distinct trade candidate that would probably fit that role really well. And I think it's kind of far-fetched. It could happen. We've seen this team go after names in the past. The Kansas City Chiefs are kind of the name whores of real football, right? Yeah. Michael Thomas. And we talked about the slant route for Rashee Rice. I don't know if he's cooked. It seemed like he's cooked, right? Like that's what it seems like, and nobody's really giving him a chance. But We've seen this team go after Kareem Hunt, and who knows what that looks like for Michael Thomas if he's able to step into this role, or anybody else that's a trade candidate. So I don't have, that's no insight. That's no nothing. That's me just thinking of options off the top of my head. But for now, I think Xavier Worthy, who saw an increase in snaps played as well, over 70% for the first time this year, is really the only immediate candidate to step up. And then some of these running backs are going to have to take on a little bit of the receiving load as well.
Well, and it's also important too, because, this team's coming off a Super Bowl win, right? But I think a big part of that Super Bowl win, Travis Kelce playing fantastic down the stretch, but so did Rashee Rice. Like, he was playing good football, and now you're out him, and we can say Travis Kelce maybe isn't the same player. I don't know. Like, I think that's going to be a big, is Travis Kelce actually cooked going forward or not? Because if he doesn't look good, like, there's definitely some big worry with him going forward. But if it isn't, like, obviously Rashee Rice. So it'll be interesting to see how this team kind of plays out, but we should talk about the running backs.
Well, we got to talk about the running backs, man. Like, obviously Kareem Hunt, there was Carson Steele, right, was the name. And obviously I butchered that name a lot heading into his starting role, Carson Strong. But Carson Steele is the guy. And, it was interesting because he got the start. There was a lot of talk of, like, what's Kareem Hunt's role going to be going in? They're activating him. Is he going to be a pass catching back? Is he going to be the lead back? And is he going to be the starter? And Carson Steele was the first one with the opportunity to start. And we had talked about this kind of floor value. He had fumbled a couple weeks earlier, and then it happened again. And we saw Kareem Hunt take a good percent of the carries moving forward in that game. How are you feeling on this backfield, Tyler? Because there's a sense that all three backs can be there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the horizon. What do you make of this whole thing?
So, yeah, like you said, Carson Steele started, and then that first drive, he ended up fumbling the ball. And, like, in the words of Kanye West, we'll never know. Like, we'll never know. So we'll see. Like, I guess we'll never know. But I will say, I talked about Samaje Perine. Samaje Perine did dominate passing down work. Him and Kareem Hunt sometimes were on the field together as well. So I think, honestly, what's probably going to happen, well, I don't want to say that, because I do think the biggest factor is honestly CH. I don't know what this is going to do to this backfield when he comes back, because apparently he's supposed to be practicing this week. So if he does come back this week, I think that throws another wrench into whatever is happening. Because if I had to predict after this week, if CH was not coming back, I think that Kareem Hunt would basically be like the early down, basically like we talked about earlier with Carson Steele, early Isaiah Pacheco. I think that Kareem Hunt will kind of be that. Also a little bit of the receiving work, but I think that, like, they like Samaje Perine there. He's been there now basically every single week. Even when Pacheco was still there, like, he was a little bit involved in the receiving down. So I think he's going to be kind of in that role. But we'll see. Like, I don't think anybody knows, honestly. And especially when Clyde comes back, I think it's just another thing that, hey, maybe he looks like just he's the youngest back out of them. Maybe he looks the best. I don't know. So
I think here, the reason why I would just be more in on Kareem Hunt is it just feels like, even though he played 45% of snaps, getting 15 touches, he's the only one that seems like flex worthy to me. So, like,
he's definitely the priority. I would say, like, this week, he's the clear waiver wire pickup. Like, if he's still available,
I feel like you don't bring a guy in like Kareem Hunt, kind of talk him up the way that the team has, elevate him, and then play him the way that you do.
Yeah.
If you don't at least have, like, priority in that system, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to bring in. He's better suited, it feels like, on limited work. It kind of just feels like that he stays healthier longer. He's more effective in those games, even though we've seen him at times be good in those roles. And then when it comes to the pass catching side of it, like, I think Samaje Perine's always going to have a role in that offense. Now, it's just not the one we want for fantasy on a consistent basis, but I think he's going to see 6 to 10 touches on almost every single game moving forward. So it's a tough situation to monitor, because I think all three will have, you talked about it, like, they're all going to have some points, I think, at times. I think if I was going to roster one, it'd be Kareem Hunt, and the rest probably cover, to be honest with you.
I will say one other thing too. Like, this offense is going to evolve without Rashee Rice. Like, this is going to be an offense that I think it's going to struggle, like, at times here, and maybe we'll see kind of, we talked about this the other week and mentioned it with like Chase Brown. That team was under, or they didn't win. Chase Brown ends up playing a little bit more. They win. Things will change. Guys will have good weeks. Guys will have bad weeks. I don't think I would cut them unless it's like to pick up Kareem Hunt. I would probably just continue to stash just because like who else are you going to truly pick up?
Running back's heavily right now.
Yeah. So I would definitely try to stash Clyde and see what happens when he comes back.
You never know what's going to happen.